At 9:04 in the morning, outside an office building in a Chinese city, thousands of workdays quietly wait to be approved. Not because people haven't arrived yet, but because a phone hasn't been tapped. Before emails, before coffee, before anyone speaks to a colleague, an app opens. A map loads. A small blue dot has to land inside a defined circle, usually 100 meters wide. Only then does the system recognize that the day has begun. Until that moment, time itself doesn't count. This is not an exception. For many urban workers in mainland China, this is simply how a normal workday starts. What's striking is not that the system exists, but how little attention it draws. There's no confrontation, no explanation, no sense of drama. The phone vibrates, the button is pressed, and the day is allowed to proceed. The system doesn't ask what kind of work will be done or how demanding it will be. It only confirms presence. Output comes later, compliance comes first. Long before anyone reaches the office, daily life is already organized around systems like this. Leaving an apartment building often means passing a shared counter filled with packages and return boxes. No staff, no paperwork. Someone ordered something online, decided they didn't want it, and left it there. At some point, a courier will collect it. No one checks who dropped it off. No one asks questions. The process works not because of trust between individuals, but because every step is logged somewhere, out of sight. Commuting reflects the same logic. In cities like Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and Shanghai, a large share of cars carry green license plates, marking them as electric. Blue plates signal gasoline vehicles. This shift didn't happen because people suddenly became environmentally motivated. It happened because fuel is expensive and electricity is cheaper. Over time, the math became impossible to ignore. Charging an electric car costs a fraction of what gasoline does, and when monthly expenses are tight, ideology matters less than survival. The result is a city that hums instead of roars, not calmer exactly, just optimized. Arriving at work doesn't mean entering a flexible space. Most office buildings are designed around controlled access and measurable behavior. Clocking in is not symbolic, it's precise. Many companies require employees to be physically within a small radius of the office to register attendance. 98 meters doesn't count. Being late isn't something to explain, it's something the system records. Reasons don't matter, only timestamps do. Inside, the architecture reinforces the same priorities. Elevators no longer rely on button panels. Floors are selected through apps or touchscreens, and an algorithm assigns the elevator automatically. It's efficient, predictable, and removes small points of friction. These changes aren't marketed as futuristic. They're treated as infrastructure, the same way electricity or running water is treated. Once it works, no one talks about it. Work itself often looks familiar. Desks, screens, editing software, group chats. On the surface, it resembles offices anywhere else. But the digital environment underneath operates on different assumptions. Many global platforms simply don't load. Popular Western services are blocked, and that absence shapes behavior in subtle ways. But it doesn't create emptiness. It creates replacement. For nearly every blocked platform, there is a domestic alternative. Not a perfect copy, but a system built around local habits and incentives. Social media doesn't disappear. It reorganizes. Video doesn't stop. It migrates. Search still happens, but through interfaces that prioritize different things. Over time, people don't feel like something is missing. They grow up fluent in a parallel digital ecosystem and stop looking outward by default. VPNs exist. Quietly. Many people use them, especially in large cities and international work environments. But they're rarely discussed openly. They're not something daily life revolves around. The system isn't designed to chase every individual user. It's designed to shape defaults. Most people use what works easily. Over time, convenience becomes habit, and habit becomes normal. On domestic platforms, people don't just post photos or videos. They solve problems. They look up how to fix appliances, what an apartment complex is really like, which restaurant is worth the price, which product breaks after 6 months. Lifestyle content and practical information blend together. Daily life requires both constantly, and the platforms reflect that. Video culture follows the same pattern. Subtitles are standard, not optional. Comments appear directly on the screen, floating across in real time. Viewers react together, joke together, argue together. Watching is not a solitary act, it's collective. Even when people are physically alone, the experience is shared. You can turn the comments off, but many don't. Over time, watching without them feels empty. By midday, the rhythm of the workday tightens. Lunch breaks are short. Food delivery fills office lobbies with identical insulated bags. Meals are inexpensive, fast, and predictable. $5 is enough for a full lunch in many cities. Variety matters less than speed. Eating is something to complete efficiently, not linger over. After lunch, some workers rest briefly. Napping at desks is common and socially accepted. Lights dim slightly. Offices fall quiet for 20 or 30 minutes. Rest exists, but it is carefully contained. Others skip it entirely and continue working. Not always because they have to, but because stopping feels disruptive. Payments throughout the day are frictionless. Cash is rare. Cards are optional. Nearly everything runs through one app. Messages, payments, work coordination, reimbursements, ride fares. Money moves as easily as text. Paying a delivery driver or splitting a bill takes seconds. Convenience here isn't framed as luxury, it's assumed. Systems are designed on the belief that friction is a flaw to be eliminated. As the afternoon stretches on, the workday doesn't end sharply. Meetings run long, projects expand, deadlines drift forward. There is often no explicit instruction to stay late, but leaving exactly on time can feel conspicuous. Overtime is rarely announced, it's implied. Presence becomes a signal of commitment, even when productivity plateaus. Office environments often look calm and pleasant. Open layouts, large windows, views of water or city skylines. These aesthetics soften the experience, but they don't change the structure underneath. Long hours are normalized, not through pressure alone, but through repetition. When everyone stays, staying stops feeling like a decision. Short breaks in the late afternoon offer glimpses of the surrounding city. Near many office buildings, people smoke in designated areas. Small parks sit across the street. Autonomous vehicles move slowly along fixed routes. Security robots idle near entrances. They look futuristic, but behave cautiously. Automation here is controlled and supervised. Progress happens in increments, not leaps. As evening approaches, the city doesn't immediately slow down. Cafes remain full. People work on laptops outdoors. Some socialize, others continue answering work messages from their phones. The boundary between work and personal life blurs, not because it's deliberately erased, but because systems don't strongly protect it. Clocking out is another digital act. Location matters again. The phone decides when the day ends. Dinner often happens in shopping malls or food courts. Menus are QR codes. Orders are placed through screens. Payment is automatic. Human interaction becomes optional. Some people find this impersonal. Others find it efficient. Over time, efficiency tends to win. Getting home is relatively inexpensive. Ride-hailing services cost far less than in many Western cities. A 30-minute trip might cost only a few dollars. Back at residential buildings, packages wait on open shelves. No staff, no verification. Cameras cover the space. Theft is rare, not because people trust each other more, but because the risk is structured differently. Income remains a quiet pressure behind all of this. In most Chinese cities, many people earn far less. Rent, food, and daily expenses consume a large share of income. Saving requires discipline, family support, or both. Education plays a decisive role. University rankings matter deeply. Attending a top-tier institution can shape not just the first job, but the long-term ceiling of a career. Attending a lower-tier one can quietly limit options. This is why students study the way they do. Not out of abstract ambition, but because early sorting is rarely reversed later. None of this feels dramatic while it's happening. It doesn't register as oppression or freedom in abstract terms. It registers as structure. Days repeat, systems work, schedules stabilize. That sameness is not accidental. It is the outcome of design. Tomorrow will look almost identical. A phone will vibrate. A location will be checked. Time will begin counting only when the system allows it to. Most people won't question it, not because they can't, but because within this structure, questioning doesn't change the schedule. The day ends without resolution. The systems remain quiet, efficient, and already preparing for the next morning before it arrives.